Hey guys, so today I have a book review on Unwind by Neal Shusterman. First off, I would like to say that I would never have ever found this book if it wasn't for BookTube. I saw, let me start at the beginning. A few months ago, I was looking for a book review, and I don't remember what book review that was, like what I was looking for, but I came across, in my searching for book reviews, I came across on The Readables. I came across Priscilla from The Readables, and I kind of ended up having a mini Priscilla Readables marathon, and one of the books she reviewed was Unwind. And this sounded really interesting. The whole concept and everything that she mentioned was really intriguing. So I went ahead and added this to my Amazon cart, and once I was ready to place an Amazon order, I went ahead and picked this one up. It took me, I didn't read it right away. It took me a little bit of a while, but that's beside the point because I read it and I really enjoyed it. So our main characters in this book are Connor, Risa, and Lev. This is written as a third person, but each person, when you're reading Connor's perspective, it is a third person, but it's Connor's point of view, or Risa and Teresa's point of view. I guess that makes sense. I don't know. So yeah, and basically in this story, this is a dystopian novel, I would say, set in the near distant future. And what the history of it all is that apparently the United States ends up having a second civil war known as the Heartland Wars, and it has a lot to do with the whole pro-choice, pro-life abortion things, which is at the core of the issue. And so what ended up solving the war was called the Bill of Life, and it's a new set of rules stating that people can no longer have abortions, that once you're pregnant, and that's it. Your only options are, if you still don't want the child once it's born, are you may stork it, which is placing it on somebody's doorstep and running away and not getting caught, because if you get caught, then you have to keep your kid. Or unwinding, but you cannot unwind your child until they're 13 years old. And what unwinding is that when the child is 13, between the ages of 13 and 18 years old, the parent or the guardian in question may choose to have their child unwound. And what that is that they are sent to a harvest camp where their bodies are harvested for organs, and every single bit of the body must be used. There's actually, for me anyway, a really disturbing scene in the book where we're seeing somebody get unwound. It's not one of our main characters, it's a supporting character, but it was for me, it was very disturbing and very, unsettling in a way, because it's like, oh my god. The way they did it was crazy. Especially because the kid is, they keep you completely conscious while you're being unwound, and they work from foot to head. They work backwards. And so that was I had to decompress after that. I had to go watch, Grey's Anatomy and just, forget about that, because I was afraid it might give me nightmares. So we have Connor, Risa, and Lev. Connor has been selected for unwinding by his parents. Apparently they feel that he is a troubled child. Risa was raised in a state home, in the system foster care. And the foster care people feel that she has reached her full potential and she is more suited for unwinding as opposed to continuing on her education. And Lev is a tithe, T-I-T-H-E. I spell it out because I think sometimes I don't pronounce THs properly. And so what that is that he was raised very religiously. And so his parents had 10 children, and they give 10% of everything they own or have to the church. So Lev is being considered more of a donation to church, or giving back to God, and he can serve God and his community and his people better separately, than he could ever do it as a whole unit. And when you're unwound, they don't consider it killing. They consider it you're being put to better use. Separately, you're being put to better use than you would ever be as a full, whole, unit human being. So Connor decides, and these three kids don't know each other. They come together in the novel. They come together separately. So Connor decides to run away because he doesn't want to be unwound. Risa ends up being in a car accident, and that's how there's like a whole car accident and everything that goes on in the story, and that's how Connor, Risa, and Lev end up coming together, and they go on their journey. There is a bit of a love story, obviously. All these books kind of have to have a bit of a love story, but it's not the forefront of the novel. The forefront of the novel is them trying to get away from being unwound, and they each are able to postpone their unwinding in their own way. Overall, I really like this book. I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. The only reason I didn't give it the full 5 was because I kind of stopped reading it in the middle. Like, I read it, I dropped it to go read The Perks of Being a Wallflower, which I really didn't like. Sorry. I'm not going to do a review on it here just because I don't feel like I should. Like, it's not, for me, it wasn't worth it to do a full review. Then I came back and finished the book, and so I think that whole separation of it kind of messed it up for me. If I had read it cover to cover without stopping to read something else, I think I would have enjoyed it a lot better because it would have moved faster, you know? So yeah, I gave it 4 stars. I really like it. It's a really good book. It's a really interesting premise. And on the side, well, not a side topic, but then after I finished reading it, it made me think, because people in the novel also mentioned how, yes, it has to do with unwinding troubled children and the whole pro-life, pro-choice, but then they also said how there's a whole, there's a need for organs, like people need organs, and if people would be willing to be organ donors, then none of this probably would have happened. Like, that's another aspect of it. Which later on that night, after I finished reading, I saw a news story, or I heard a news story on the radio, about these 2 women in Sweden, I think. Yes, I think it was Sweden, where they received uterus transplants. And one of the doctors who was interviewed for the story was saying how originally transplants were created for people to get vital organs, hearts, livers, kidneys, things like that. And now transplants are starting to be more of a, like, how did he put it? Like, you don't need them. Like, you don't, because apparently these women who got the transplants, they don't need, you don't need a uterus to live, but they want to have children eventually, so you kind of need one. But the point was that you don't need a uterus. You could adopt children or whatever, or you could have a surrogate. And so he was saying, that made me think how, I guess, yeah, you don't need a uterus, or people who have lost their hands in accidents, they don't need hand transplants. And so it kind of started thinking, like, that's kind of a slippery slope. Like, how far is too far when it comes to organ donations or transplantations? Like, a heart, I can understand. Heart, lungs, livers, kidneys, things of that nature. You need those things to survive. But you don't need a hand. You don't need a uterus. You don't need, other things. I'm sure people can see it. Everybody can see it in a different aspect. But it kind of makes you think, and it kind of makes me wonder, like, how far is too far? But yeah, this is a really good book. And again, thanks to YouTube, or thanks to BookTube, I was able to really discover this, and I really enjoyed it. And I think it's a real, not provocative, but it does make you think. And it did make me like, interesting. So yeah, this is about 335 pages long, so it's not too long. It's a real good book. There is a sequel to it that just came out maybe a month ago, entitled Unholy by Neal Shusterman. And then there is also a novella entitled Unstrung, which is Lev's story, because there's a point in time Lev goes through a huge change in the novel. He does like a 180 from where he begins to where he ends. It's a big change. And so his story isn't fully covered, and every little aspect of him isn't fully covered in here, so that little novella kind of fills in some of the gaps for you if you want to read them. I don't think you need to read them. You don't need to read it. I don't think I'm going to read it, but if you want to, you can. So yeah, that's it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching. Feel free to leave comments below if you guys have read Unwind, or if you've even read Unholy, because I'm not even sure if I want to read Unholy. The way this one left off, it left off in a really good place, and it could easily be a standalone novel. But I know a lot of people are really looked forward to Unholy and really want to read it. So I'll see if I read it eventually. It's not... for me, it's not pressing. Like, I don't feel the need to read it because I was really, really satisfied by Unwind. So yeah, like I was saying, feel free to leave comments below, subscribe, like, share, all the YouTubey things, and I'll see you guys next time with another video.